Hey, it's Kevin Lawton with the New Warehouse Podcast here at MODEX 2022. I am in the booth, and we are here joined by John Clark of Steel King Industries. And John is going to talk to us a little bit about Steel King, what it is they do, and a little bit about the racking industry as a whole and what we're seeing here at MODEX this year. So, John, welcome to the booth. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Great, Kevin. Thanks. Happy to be here.
Definitely happy to have you on. Happy to have you come stop by the booth. So, if people have not heard of Steel King, I have heard of Steel King. I know Steel King, but maybe some people haven't. Give us a little overview and what it is you guys do.
Sure. We, in the greatest sense, we are a manufacturer of pallet racking and related type of solutions, and that includes, in addition to pallet rack, it includes some dynamic racking. So. Automated solutions that stacking and pallet flow also includes various containers that you would use in manufacturing. So storage containers, all steel based, wire racking and wire mesh, and then safety materials, guarding and cladding and the like to keep the warehouse safe. You've got these facilities that once open can't afford to be closed, and in a dynamic environment like a warehouse, you've got accidents that could happen. So safety equipment helps to minimize that and to protect the investment in the equipment that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. And we look around MODEX here, and there's certainly a lot of expensive equipment, right? So it's certainly something you definitely want to protect with guarding and things of that nature. So when it comes to racking, obviously the racking is sort of the basis and the foundation for a lot of things and infrastructure within our distribution centers, fulfillment centers. There's multiple different kinds, but talk to us a little bit about maybe how racking has evolved over the years and like where are we at now in the industry? What are people really interested in and what's really fulfilling the needs of the current climate?
Sure. Well, I think one of the things you're seeing, Kevin, is that there's that evolution from large unit load storage, pallets and full loads. While that still needs to occur, you're seeing smaller case and tote, and even down to each picking. And the racking industry and this industry as a whole is evolving to accommodate that. One of the areas that's new for Steel King is what we call our next caliber. It's a mezzanine line. So. These facilities that have to have manual storage but also have to be automation equipped or automation ready. These mezzanines can handle small format bots and robots, can be a basis for pick zones, for conveyors and other forms of automation. And they're designed to accommodate that and can be, all of our solutions are custom designed, but designed to exactly fit the requirements, both geographically where you are or what you're carrying and storing and so on.
Yeah, and I think it's very important, I think, at this point for a lot of companies to have that flexibility and be able to have the customization, like you said, and have it fit your operation in particular, and have it built out to what you need exactly. So, but you mentioned in there one thing about geographical location, right? So we talked about geographical location. I mean, racking is racking.
What does it mean?
Right? Like, why is that important, geographical location?
Sure. I mean, we create our solutions. They're custom built based on the specs of what you need. So if you're storing pallets of diapers versus pallets of bricks, what you need from a racking solution is going to be different. But also, many people aren't aware of the various seismic regions in our country. So we all think, San Andreas Fault, California, it's an obvious one. Right. But there's other areas in the country where those areas are more seismic prone to have seismic activity. So in order to address that, the racking has to have different components and structure so that it can retain its rigidity in those types of situations. We, as a custom manufacturer, we don't just build the units and put them on a shelf or put them in a rack waiting for the order to come in. We build it, and we need to know where is it going, not just what it's holding, but by knowing where it's going to design really the perfect solution, optimal solution for each customer.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting point because, like you said, I think a lot of people probably don't necessarily think of that at the top of the head, right?
Yeah.
And when we think about racking, obviously it helps us in many ways in terms of storing items and utilizing our space in a more efficient way. But there are a lot of potential safety risks with racking as well. You talk about seismic events.
Mm-hmm.
You have something that shakes up a little bit of racking, you can have a lot of product falling down, right? So along those lines too, how do you ensure that, when racking installs are happening and racking is going in place, that, it's the safest application that the customer can have?
A lot of that, comes from the design aspect of having, the engineers that are scoping out and designing the solution,
right.
taking everything into account, both, not just the rack, but the floor it's going on. Depending on what you're putting on it, it may need additional footings and so on, so that, again, it's the right solution for you.
Yeah.
And, you had talked about, from the safety perspective, these facilities can't afford to be closed.
Right.
We're all dealing with the supply chain coming out of
Absolutely.
the pandemic and all of the lumps that it's created. So that's just one area where the supply chain has to be constant. And the time it would take to close an existing facility and build a new one and all of that, companies simply can't afford to do.
Yeah.
So they want to try to get the most out of the facility they have. Some might say it's sweating the assets.
Right.
But when we talk about some of the solutions we offer that might do more dense storage, that allows that facility to, maybe it has 12 aisles where fork trucks would navigate to place and put loads.
Right.
But by doing a bit of a dense solution, a dense pallet-based solution, you can remove some of those rows of travel and have it be more storage. So it's allowing you within the walls of the facility to simply get more out of it.
Yeah, and I think it's a really smart way because you want to look at those things, and obviously with the supply chain issues that you mentioned in there, I mean, we're trying to catch up and be as fast as we can, but sometimes when we do that, we may cut corners or something of that nature, right? And we want to avoid that. So making sure that we have a solid safety plan in place, and which involves the racking and infrastructure and everything that goes along with that, I think is a really important thing too. So with the comment on the supply chain issues, obviously there's a lot of things that people are struggling with. They're trying to maximize space. They're trying to find people to work, all different kinds of things. But through this time, what have you really seen from customers? Like, what are the big requests from a racking perspective that they're looking for to try and help them alleviate some of these issues?
I mean, they would like to have their solution next week, but
Sure,
across the board,
I want it tomorrow. Yeah.
Exactly. And you've got those issues, but those are across the board,
right,
of wanting to get everything as soon as we can, and so on. I think really what the last couple of years have showed is, the pandemic exposed the weaknesses of the supply chain, where if it was a line of dominoes,
right,
maybe you took one out and you could figure it out. But the way it worked with the pandemic, 6, 7, 8, 10 dominoes were taken out of that line, and it was the perfect storm, if you will, to expose to expose and break the supply chain. And some of those areas that made sense when everything worked, just-in-time inventory, holding less safety stock, all of those types of ideas, now there's a little bit more of a focus of, can you afford to do that, and should you do that? Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And the case in point of storage, you need to have companies need to have multiple suppliers and have the back stock, so that it levels out that lumpiness that they're experiencing in the supply chain, so that the product is there. We're there's going to be that point where consumers are going to stop being okay with the fact that there's something not on the shelf, and they're either going to go someplace where it is. They're going to shop with their wallet, and if the product isn't on the shelf, you can't sell it. So I think it's just, and people would think, well, racking, what does racking have to do with that? Well, you got to store that product, and to have that extra, we go to the big box stores and buy the 36 rolls of paper towel. Well, you only use one at a time, but you're covered in case something happens. Now, covered for how many months, depending how messy you are, I guess.
Right.
But the same thing on the supply chain of having some of that product. It's like the pantry for for what you do,
right.
to have something there, and you don't want to run out and then get it. You want to have that fill. So it's like what the intent of just in time was, but I think it's more of, instead of having only one in back, let's have 10.
Right.
And if you take that back all the way to a distribution center environment, it again means having some of that unit storage, so you're ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, here at MODEX, I mean, we're seeing lots of innovation and technology and things of that nature. And but when it comes to racking, racking has been pretty much what racking is, right? I mean, steel structures and things of that nature. But what are some of the maybe innovations in racking that we might potentially be seeing, or different ways of looking at storage racking? What are some of the different types of racking aside from that regular, just straight up pallet storage? Sure.
I think what you're going to see, that continued combination or integration with automation, so that the racking solution, no longer has to just integrate with a manual fork truck, but may have to integrate with very narrow storage AGVs, or a mole large format floor unit load AGV type vehicle. Also interfacing or integrating with conveyor solutions. Those sorts, just that kind of coming together where there isn't a black box handoff where you don't know where something is, to be able to have that. And I think, the racking will have to be able to accommodate more and more integration with automation. Which may reduce some of the safety issues, because most of the accidents come from, fork trucks, bumping into things and so on. So the automation may reduce that, because it's all always going to the same place, same measurement, lasers and what have you. But I think just being able to have these systems work together, because to me, your storage is still a form of automation. It's still a solution that all goes together. And I think companies that are looking to put these things in, they're not just looking. A number of them aren't just looking for a rack; they're looking for everything, and the racking, for example, might be but a part of it. Gotcha. So I think you're seeing companies that are looking to work with integrators to offer that solution, or a solution that isn't just the racking, but it's maybe the racking and the mezzanine for e-commerce. Putting it more of a solution approach to whatever they need.
Okay, very interesting, and I was curious about that, and I think it's, the overall solution is certainly something I've been hearing from a lot of people here as well, is that, that instead of now people are interested in, just like one part of the process, like they're interested in seeing like what can we do for like the whole flow of the process in the distribution center. So very interesting stuff talking to you here, John, at MODEX, and very interesting to learn about Steel King as well a little further. I mean, I've certainly I've heard of Steel King in the past, but not as this in depth. So I really appreciate you coming by the booth. If people are interested to learn more about Steel King, how can they do that?
SteelKing.com. Pretty simple, straightforward and to the point.
All right, great. And we'll put that information at thenewwarehouse.com as well. So, John, thank you once again for stopping by the booth, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Thanks, Kevin.